episode of Let's Talk Vinyl, episode 15. As a matter of fact,
that's a lot.
Over a year. We have been together over a year, Trey. It's like we are going into anniversary mode for real.
When do I get to second base, Anthony? 15 months we've been seeing each other. Come on.
I'm working on it. But tonight's a really unique episode. Tonight is the first time me and Trey are not only just doing a Pearl Jam topic with Save You. We're going to be talking about Save You, show a video from it, talk about some stats. We had last episode, we talked about Eddie Vedder's top 13 albums of all time. And, me and Trey both said it's almost an impossible task to do. So what we did was we did our top 13 albums of all time, but I'm pretty sure, Trey, you will agree that if we did this list in 2 months, it'd probably be different.
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned, it really is an impossible task. So it's more of a, you had me when we talked about it, I had been thinking about it for a while, but when you sort of think back and you start writing things down, and next thing you know, you've got 25 albums written down, and then how do you replace one with the other? And, I think how do I not have a Rolling Stones album on there? As I'm sitting here looking at your t-shirt, or, I don't even have a Beatles album in my top 12 or 13. And that's not right.
Are you sure about, do you even remember your list?
Don't I?
You 100% have a Beatles album in your top 13.
Oh, I do.
You do. So
that's right.
Rolling Stones,
right,
that
perfect.
is correct. You do not have...
how is Sticky Fingers not in there? I don't have an Otis Redding album in there. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's just not right.
You made the list. There's only so much that I can do. I mean, it was tough for me. I went through the list, and then what I did was I actually went to my family. I'm like, hey, listen, can you tell me what bands do you think of when you think of me? Because I was having a hard time, literally... thinking about what music do I listen to? What music do I love? That kind of stuff that what albums are influential? It got to the point where I was like, I don't know how Eddie did it unless he just rambled off 13 random albums that totally came off of the top of his head. But it's going to be interesting. Right. But also tonight, Trey sent me something that I can't wait to drink. Trey, tell us a little bit
back
about...
on the carbs, by the way?
No. So... I have dropped 40 pounds. I'm 9 weeks.
You look great.
Oh, thank you very much. 9 weeks as of Monday. What I'm doing is the only carbs I'm intaking, when I was in Texas this past week, I did drink wine, but I won't drink anything else. So I have told myself wine is the only thing I'm allowed to drink. And actually talking to a health specialist, they said wine is better to drink than beer. And they said that actually for my diet,
for sure is, yeah.
To not put my system in shock from not having sugars and carbs and stuff like that wine is a better option in the long distance, in the longevity of doing a diet than beer. So no, I am doing wine, but that is it. I still haven't had anything. Now, Saturday, I will be doing Thanksgiving at my house because I was in Texas for Thanksgiving. We could do a whole show on that. But yeah, so we'll be doing here. And I might, I don't know. Every time I think I'm going to eat a carb, I'm going to give myself a cheat day, I just don't find it in me to be is it worth it? But wine
I remember last year you were wearing that T-shirt and those lips were twice as big. And now look at you now, they just shrunk back down.
Well, first of all, I just bought this T-shirt. Second of all, I did have a Rolling Stone shirt on last year that was a double XL. This is an extra large, by the way. And I tried putting that on, and it looked huge on me. So
didn't I send you a T-shirt, by the way?
Yes, and it's 3XL.
It's a what?
It's a 3XL. It is legitimately a blanket.
Well, I asked for double X because you told me double X. So
mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe
and they sent me a 3XL.
Maybe I'll talk to I'll send an XL and I'll have you send that one back.
All right, I can definitely do that. 100%.
All right.
Or
you can just save it in case you go back on carbs.
You can just shut your mouth because I am enjoying this feeling and look and healthiness.
You look good, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I ran and it's not healthy to have to carry around that weight. It's hard on your body. You know what I mean? It's hard on your organs. It's hard on your limbs.
Oh yeah, dude. The couple
Yeah.
things that I have found have changed drastically in the last 9 weeks, and I haven't really worked out too much. I just got my running shoes today. I'm starting to train for a half a marathon next year, which I'll be running with somebody that I don't want to bring up his name yet because there's a story about that with you in a minute. But I'm running next year, so I'm really getting into that grand scheme of things. So I'm getting back into running, and I'm finding that like I just feel better about myself. Like I'm sleeping better. I feel better. It's just I do find myself like having to eat more like meats and stuff because like it just goes through me really. It's like it just my body burns it so quickly. But over like I just feel better. Like I just feel better. I feel like I'm looking better. I'm trying to feel better about myself. I'm 36 years old. I'll be 37 next year. We'll be in Kansas City. I don't want to be like that fat dad or the dad that, I just want to be like my kids be proud of me. I don't want to be here as long as possible, see them do everything. So that's where it is.
Those are all good things. I feel like we're shifting our show towards
Let's talk about this bottle of wine so I can finally drink it.
Yeah, let's talk about things that are good for you and they taste good, and that's wine. And I sent you the one of our smallest production wines, and it's called Spiders from Mars, and it's from a vineyard called Elevation Vineyard, but our block in the vineyard is called the Ziggy Stardust block. And we started working with this vineyard the year that Bowie died, and so we decided to name it Ziggy Stardust, and of course name the wine. Hey, what's going on, Amy? Name the wine, of course, after one of our favorite Bowie songs too. So Holly's listening in the car. She's headed to dance practice right now. She's got a performance on Thursday. So I love her. Drive safely, please. This wine, we only make anywhere between 80 and 130 cases. It just depends on how much fruit we get for that particular vintage. And I opened the 16 vintage. I think I sent you the 18. It'll say it on the back.
Holy shit.
You're not going to be able to read it very well on the front, but on the top left corner.
2018.
Yeah. So I opened the first vintage. You're drinking the new vintage, which is delicious,
Jesus
by the way.
Christ, yes.
But this is 100% Syrah, and it is what's called I've mentioned it before where we actually foot crush the grapes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's called whole cluster. So you're using the entire cluster in the fermentation. This is 100% whole cluster. So we foot crush all these grapes, and then we allow the native fermentation, the yeast that live in the vineyard and the yeast that live on the grapes and in the winery. That's what ferments these grapes to dryness. It's just a very special site. These the wines that come from this site don't smell or taste like anything else that we make. They don't smell or taste like anything from Washington or Oregon. It's truly a unique area. I predict in the next 5 years, this area where these grapes are grown, and it's about 6 miles up the Walla Walla River Canyon, it'll be its own AVA, American Viticultural area. And so a specific place to grow grapes that have a designation, like Napa Valley is an AVA, Walla Walla Valley is an AVA. The North Fork of the Walla Walla River in 5 years, my prediction is that it'll have its own AVA, because these wines are so unique. They don't smell or taste like anything else around them.
And now listen, I can say this now. We've 15 episodes in. I have drank my fair share of wine. I am actually, that's all I do. I've become
You're almost a sommelier at this point.
I don't know if I go that far, but this smell of this. First of all, it's almost like dessert like. It's just got like this really like, I don't know how to. It smells so clean. I don't know if that's even a way.
Sure, that sounds good.
Yeah, and this is by far the best one I've ever had in my life.
Ah, there we go. This is also Holly's favorite too. So I gotta save her some for the in the night. Look at my decanter, by the way, because I noticed she didn't bring her decanter. Look at this.
Oh shit, that is wild.
Isn't that fancy?
That
Is
is
that cool?
fancy. So the story of my decanter is, yeah, just wasn't clean. So I used it the other night until I forgot. And the day got past me, and
Yeah, it's
man,
okay.
but this is so good.
So good. And so this wine doesn't see any new oak. We age this in old barrels. So when you smell and taste this wine, Anthony, you are smelling and tasting truly just a place, right? Because we don't really intervene in making this wine. We we intervene in when we decide to pick it. Like once you make that decision, you're capturing the flavor and the aromas at that point at that point. But um, past that, all we do is foot crush it, allow it to ferment, pump it over or punch it down a couple times a day, and then go to barrel with it. So
Hmm.
we're not adding anything to it. We're not adding acid. We're not looking. It's a very hands-off way of making wine, and that's kind of our approach across the board. Anyway, we really think that we grow some of the best grapes in the world at Washington, and we try to highlight those places more than we try to highlight a winery style. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Some wineries can impart a style in a wine by picking a little later and throwing a lot of new oak at it, right? That's a lot of flavor you're adding to that wine with the oak. And it's not that we don't use any new oak. We do on some of our wines for sure. But our Syrahs, especially, we like very little new oak to almost no new oak in this instance. So,
No, it is.
but
There
and this
is.
is a wine, Anthony, that'll age for 25 years.
Wow.
Um, so, uh, you're drinking that very, very, very young. And so, like for me, this could be like a 6 or 8 hour decant, and I just opened this an hour ago. So by the time Holly gets home in a few hours, it'll really start to open up. So
It's amazing how different wines are and how like the deconstruction or the construction of it to get into your mouth, like what you can do to get those flavors correctly. It was funny the last week when I got asked for some red wine. I don't know what the fuck they gave me. It was a bar at my hotel. And they gave it to me in a glass, and I said, "I can't." I said, don't you have a wine, a wine glass?" So no, that's all we have. I said, "Well, I don't want it then." I said, "Why?" I said, "Because it's not going to be good. I need to be able to do my thing. I got to do my swirl and all that stuff." So I literally went to the lobby. They found me some wine glasses, brought it back to the bar, and did it. And like I got dirty looks. Like it was interesting. And I don't know if Texas, I guess wine in Texas, maybe they don't mix. I don't know. But there I was. I was just kind of doing my side thing, watching soccer and being. I felt like I was kind of a snob a little bit. But there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And I just I felt like you taught me the ways, and I'm not going to screw it up.
listen, I think that you're a paying customer, and that's how you enjoy whatever beverage. It's almost like you know there's a reason that an IPA glass is different from a Pilsner glass, is different. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the thinking with those as well. So, um, I don't think you're a snob at all.
Well, I appreciate that.
You do the
Now,
right thing. You do the
now
right
with
thing
this
to ask.
being Holly's favorite wine and potentially being mine, where does this rank in your favorite wines to drink?
This is for sure one of my favorite wines that we make, and I do love drinking it. We just don't drink a lot of it because we don't make a lot of it, and so I kind of, like my library of this is much smaller than my library of our other wines. And so it's definitely a special occasion when we open that. Although, as I tell Holly, every day with her is a special occasion. So, but this is a wine. This is not inexpensive, right? This is $100 retail. It's my most expensive bottle of wine that I make, and I say that out loud. I'm like, God, that's a lot of money for a wine. But the reality of it is, we have a peer group in the wine world when it comes to pricing wines, and you look at where your winery sort of sits amongst all the other wineries in Washington, and not just Washington, but in the world. And you look at the press that we get, and then we evaluate our pricing on top of that. And so,
Hmm.
this is a matter of the supply far outstrips the demand far outstrips the supply with this wine. We only make a tiny amount of it. It all goes to a wine club that we have called the Rocks. For those who love the Rocks Wine Club, which we have a waiting list for, because that club is already sold out. And so, um, the Um, the idea is, you can't make more of this. It's not like beer, right? So, for instance, um, you've got Pliny the Elder, the cult beer, right, from Sonoma, California. Everybody wants Pliny. They can just make more Pliny. This is the recipe. That's all it is. There's no, we get one shot in winemaking. You get one shot a year to determine the outcome, and that's essentially the picking decision, right? You get one shot a year to determine the quality outcome of what you're going to make, uh, which won't be released from anywhere from 6 months for a rosé to up to 3 years for your red wine program, right? You can make Pliny the Elder every day if you wanted to. So that's one of the reasons I think that wine, um, you see so much expensive wine out there, is that that's a single expression of a time and place that'll never be captured again. And so once all those are gone, they're gone. And so I think that there's a little bit to that.
Well, I mean, listen, it's the Kia theory. There's, a car does every car does the same thing and gets you from point A to point B. But there's luxuries and there's feelings and there's the way it feels and drives that you have to pay more to get that feeling that you want. Well, some people are okay with driving a Kia, and that might be your $5 or $10 bottle of wine. And then there's some people that want to drive that Cadillac, and this is a fucking Cadillac. I mean, compared to everything I don't do wine tours and things of that nature, and I don't know. And I think, to be honest with you, it's going to be even more limited when I move to Kansas City, because I'm really up the road from a bunch of
Missouri.
wineries.
I mean, Kansas City, Missouri. Missouri has a huge winery population. Huge.
Does it really?
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna have to check that out then, because
a lot of wineries in Missouri. I can't speak to the quality of them, but what I can tell you is there's a lot of wineries in Missouri.
Now, Trey, so I know that this is a really limited wine. Is there any for sale right now, or is this something that you're just gonna have to keep an eye out for the next bottling?
It is. There may be a few bottles of the 2018 vintage left. I am not positive. If it is, it's on our website. If it's not on our website, it means we're for sure sold out.
Okay, so I will tell you,
we make this for our wine club, and they take 95% of it, and then we will hold back a few cases for things like this, where we get to share it.
Well, first of all, I appreciate it tremendously. I mean, this thing's amazing. And if you're listening right now, I'm actually checking the website to see if there is anything available, and I'll let you know. But I would say that, if this is the holiday season, there's times to treat yourself. There is some available. Let me see if I can pull this up on the screen. But I mean, with the holiday season, treat yourself.
I will throw in a shameless plug for the winery here.
Oh,
we are on day 2 of the 12 days of Sleight of Hand. And every day at 10:30, we send an email out to our mailing list. But I also put the link out on all of the winery social sites, Instagram and Facebook, with these screaming deals on one of our wines, or maybe a vertical or large formats. Yesterday was Magnums. All of our Magnums were 20% off, which never go on sale. So it's the only day of the year they go on sale. And then today, do you remember the Spellbinder? That red blend?
I have purchased that.
The wine club gets that for 30% off today. Regular consumers get it for 20% off. So
I'm gonna show the website.
You guys are wine collectors. There we go. All right. So there must be a little bit left. Go back up, Anthony. See that 12 days of Sleight of Hand?
Yes, I do.
So click on that. So there we go. So it's got the once you add to the cart, the discounts and stuff apply to it. So anyway, if you guys love that's a great everyday. We call that our Monday through Sunday wine. And at $20, it's a great deal, but at $16, it's even better. And for wine club customers, they get it for $14.
Wow,
which is a great deal. But the every day we're gonna have a different offer up. So it's if you're not on our mailing list, it's easy enough to sign up. And if If you don't want to sign up, you can always check our social. So, all right, there's the end of my shameless plug. Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad that I'm able to do that for you. So no, that's cool. Well, it's cool that listen. And I'm telling you right now, if you are a fan of wine, or if this is something that you want to get into, well, first of all, I would say that I wouldn't jump right into getting this $100 bottle of wine, because this is something like your first car. You shouldn't drive a Cadillac. You got to kind of work your way into it a little bit. But definitely go on Sleight of Hands Cellars website. Check it out. There's plenty of wine on there. I've been doing it for 15 months. Trey sent me quite a few bottles of wine. I purchased some on my trips in. I guess my trips, and I've been buying them from many of the places.
In Kansas City, yeah.
Kansas City, Texas. I had no luck in, but I didn't really check too hard. But there's definitely call your local winery or wine club or anything or store that you buy wine from, and see if they sell Sleight of Hand Cellars wine. If not, send Trey a message and tell him, hey, make this shit happen.
There we go. You can do that for sure.
But listen, tonight, first of all, this is great. Thank you again for sending me this bottle of wine, Trey. This is
you
amazing.
bet, buddy. Of course. You bet. Happy Thanksgiving. Belated.
Oh, thank you for that. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well. Tonight, we're talking about the song Save You. It was a request last month to do it this month. Save You is an interesting song, right? Like, the idea behind it's interesting. It's an interesting song. It's not the most, I think, sought after song by any means. I don't think many people have it as their favorite song, but it's definitely a hell of a song in my opinion. I've seen it a few times. It has not been played much recently in the last 10 years. But before we get into that, did you know today is an anniversary of yours?
It's an anniversary of mine. Today was Spokane, November 30th, Spokane. There's me and Brad. That was such a great night. Oh, my goodness. What a great show that was.
I thought it was going to catch you off guard there a little bit and didn't know, but I guess either Brad sent you a text message or you're really good on dates.
No text message from Brad. It's just I woke up and Facebook Memories showed me a photo, and that was my friend Jeff Wells, one of my good buddies who lives in Boise. Lives in Sun Valley. I took him to his first and only Pearl Jam show, and it was that one. And it was 15, 20 degrees at the most outside the venue before the show. And I got there at like 7 a.m. Brad and Sam were front of the line already, like 4 and 5. I was like 6 and 7. I was 6 waiting for Jeff. He landed at noon, flew in, took a taxi, met us out there. Just had a great pre-funk outside, and then got in the venue and it was just awesome. Just a great experience.
That's really cool. It's interesting how, I feel like 2013 was right around the corner. Like, I remember those shows like it was yesterday. It's very weird to think that was 8 years ago.
Yeah. Mike handed me a signed set list that night. And
you have it framed up, I'm assuming?
No, it's just in a drawer somewhere. So with all my other stuff. Look, where are you gonna put it?
You make a good point.
I have no wall space, man. You know what I mean?
Talking about wall space, I'm about to sell my house, and I have to take everything off the fucking walls, and I don't know where I'm gonna put the things that are on my walls. I counted I have 141 framed pieces of art on my wall in the basement.
How many of them are Pearl Jam posters?
97.
Okay.
And now that's not including I'm looking like I have Charlottesville leaning against the couch. I have the Baltimore set.
Red Mosquito behind you.
Oh yeah, that's Joey Feldman. That's I just happened to find that today when I was moving things around. I said, you know what, that might look good behind me in the corner of that blank space that is just filling the air. So
it does. It looks good.
Thank you.
The whole red, black and white. You look like a Georgia Bulldog is what you look like.
I wouldn't go that far. Nope. That's
Go Dogs.
You can keep that. No, I bought I'm losing weight, so I had to buy a new shirt. So I bought 12 band themed holiday t-shirts. Is the first one of the 12 that I put on. So yeah, I got a bunch of holiday t-shirts. I just thought it was different and unique.
That's a good one. Looks like a vintage. I like it.
It is. It's an actual Rolling Stone shirt from the website. It's this holiday themed T-shirt. That was pretty neat. It was pretty cool. It's kind of worn in a little bit, so I dig it. Dig it for sure. But listen, we're here for Save You. It was not played in Spokane, so that is irrelevant to this conversation. But it was an anniversary for sure. So let's listen to Save You, and let's give our opinion about it afterwards. I'm kind of curious what you think of the song, and then give some facts, and we'll go from there.
All right, sounds good.
Here we go. So, Trey, what are your thoughts about the song Save You?
One more time.
What are your thoughts about the song Save You?
I love that song. That's super high energy. The messaging, it sounds like he's probably talking about a buddy who's having, I'm gonna guess drug related issues. You know what I mean? That's kind of the feeling I get behind the message of that song. He's losing Lane and Kurt, in a period of years in there. Well, actually, no, Lane was still alive then, wasn't he? When did Lane die?
That is
04?
correct. Yeah, because he passed 2001, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I'm not
can't
good with
remember.
that stuff.
Yeah, but no, I mean that's that's exactly what that song sounds like. I don't know. I love the energy of that song, and the little crowd interaction with the clapping and Amen bringing the low bass back. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Lane. So yeah, Lane was passed away in 2002. Thank you, Don, for that.
thank you, Don.
Yeah, no, it's he was alive for that. So yeah, it is interesting. Here,
I
let's
wonder if
get
it
it.
was written about somebody. I mean, Eddie. I don't know if how much Eddie talks about how personal songs are to him. If it's just a general thing, or if he literally wrote that about he had somebody in mind when he wrote that song.
Interesting. I don't know. Should we give him a call and find out?
Hold on a second. I got him.
You got him. I'm gonna try. We'll see who he answers to first. Here are your Save You facts. It's been played only 180 times live. It's been an opener and closer 0 times. Makes sense. I can't see this ever opening and closing a show.
Nope.
It was last played in Boston September 4th, 2018. We both saw that there. It was first played on David Letterman on November 15th, 2002, which just celebrated its anniversary of 19 years not that long ago. The word fuck was said 6 times in the song and has only been played 25 times in the last 10 years.
So they really played the shit out of that from 02 to 11.
Yeah, if you think about it, that's 155 times it was played in a span of 10 years, less than 9 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Remember when they used to tour that much?
Yeah. I don't. I don't know, man.
I mean, man, we just bought Foo Fighters tickets today.
Oh, Sarah says she's a first-time listener. Well, welcome to the club, Sarah. I love the song. I've heard it 3 times. Surprised to hear it's somewhat of a rarity. Yeah, it's interesting. When it comes out the gate in the first, 10 years being played about 155 times, and then only 25 times in the last 10 years. So it kind of shows you, but if you think about in the last 10 years, 3 albums have come out. They're going to push those albums a little bit more. In the last 20 years, you're talking about you had Gigaton, you've had Backspacer, you've had Lightning Bolt, you've had Avocado, you've had... That's it, right? Since then? Yeah, right. All right. So, I mean, you've had all these albums where they're pushing those. So those are more albums, more songs that are going to get more push over those. And I think Save You is more of a rarity in its sense that it's kind of like Brad had said a little while ago, that it kind of works with like songs like Last Exit, which another song that really isn't played nearly as much. Now, going to...
They're almost like good walk-off songs after the first set.
That is a great way of describing it.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one. It is kind of like those, they're heavy, fast, but the way it dies in a way that it's kind of like they can walk off from that, and it gives you the energy to jump right into, the next level of songs in the next encore. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you on the screen here as the studio upgrades continue to let us do some fun things. Our buddies over at LiveFootstepsorg, which I'd highly recommend going to. Here's some more information about Save You. So it shows you that how many times the song was played. In 2003,
I mean, 03.
70 songs. 70
03,
times.
03 was, God, that's crazy. I mean, how many shows did they play in 03? That's a world tour. Was that Australia and Europe and...
Check this out. You had a question? Boom. Go to 2003 and look at it. All of the information of how many shows are played right at your fingertips.
Australia, Japan.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, that's when they even played like double states, like they played Raleigh, Charlotte, so both back to back. They played 1, 2, 3, 4 times in California. I mean, they played in Boner Springs, Kansas. I mean, they played everywhere. So
let's go back. Go down there. Look at that. Oh, they played one show, Benaroya Hall, which I saw, by the way. Amazing. But they literally, scroll down. I don't think they even played
like just a normal.
Seattle.
Let's see. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Nope. Australia.
Nope.
Japan, Colorado, Oklahoma, then Texas, Louisiana, Alabama. That must have been an interesting show. West Palm Beach, Florida, Orlando, Tampa.
You know that this was also 03. He's doing, is Bush Leaguer out by 03?
Yes, because April 30th show
Riot Act
was when they did where he got booed off stage. On song 26, we're on the third encore or the second encore. They got booed off stage. They got booed like crazy when they played Bush Leaguer right before Know Your Rights and Rocking in the Free World, which was that trilogy of songs.
Which is even better.
Yes.
Even better. They
really fucked with him then. So, no, definitely check that. So yeah, like, you know how we just went down a rabbit hole? You can easily go down a rabbit hole down at LiveFootstepsorg. So definitely check that out. That's where we get all of our stats and information. So jumping back to Save You real quick. Hail Hail is the song played most before, 16 times, Corduroy 16 times. And then the most songs after, Given a Fly is at 19 and Do the Evolution at 14. So that's an interesting little tidbit right there. So, but yeah, definitely, if I was you and you were a Pearl Jam fan, 110% check out this website and give it a whirl. So
wow.
There's the old pluggaroo for that one.
That's amazing. That's what a library of Pearl Jam knowledge that's just sitting right there if you need it.
Oh God, yeah, it's one of my favorite places. Listen, Pearl Jam did a really good job with what they did recently with the updates to their site that you can go into deep and kind of get some information. What has been done over at LiveFootstepsorg is so informative and more detail driven and more fact based driven, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty amazing. Between that and there's like the Live on Four Legs podcast website that recently came out where like fans are like giving their stories. So that if you go to like, let's say we were just talking about, I don't know, the Portland show, you went to the Portland page, there can be fans giving their side of the story and you can read about their side. It's really crazy. There's so much great stuff out there. It's been amazing. So.
That's awesome.
All right.
Very
now,
cool.
I think we've jumped into it. Are you ready to dig into what I have called the biggest homework assignment that we've ever given each other?
It's true, though.
It really is. Listen, last month...
So hard. Are you going to put the list up?
What up? Yeah, well, we're going to go song by song, and at the end, I'll give the whole list. I have this really nice graphic, which we're going to share later on the social media, too.
All right.
So... we're going to go the way we did. What last month, Eddie Vedder released this back over the summer, released his top 13 albums of all time. And in conversation between me and Trey last month, we said we should give our top albums of all time. Now, as we're digging in, you can put up some comments on this. We'll throw them up on the screen. We're going to go album by album. I'm going to play a small clip from each album. But we're going to start off with Trey. Trey, you put Van Halen on the list. Give us a reason why this is on the list.
The reason is just put Van Halen 1 on and let's do it start to finish with a pair of shitty headphones. And if you're not playing air guitar to every song, I don't know you. That's why. I learned a lot of air guitar chops off this album. I discovered Van Halen 4 first and then backtracked to Van Halen 1, which I think is a far superior album than 1984, although 1984 is an amazing album. But really, the first 4 Van Halen albums were amazing albums. But yeah, Van Halen 1.
So, Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth?
If you have to ask me that question, I don't know you either. Okay.
I'm providing content. I'm just
do
asking
you see I Can't Drive 55 anywhere in that top 13? That's all you need to know right there.
I don't know. Right Here, Right Now was a great song. I'm just saying. For me, I think that Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon is the greatest album ever created. It is truly what an album is. It is start to finish the perfect album. The way that it blends into each other, the way that that Pink Floyd came together for this. And, there's a lot of other great Pink Floyd albums. I can really swap this and Animals around or The Wall and say that they're all great. But Dark Side of the Moon has really, changed think about how it's kids nowadays know about it. It was a top-selling album for how long? It is the perfect album in my opinion.
I, I'm embarrassed it's not in my top 13.
Well,
That's how great that album is.
And think about this. This is one thing I love about this album, like in looking at the album cover in general. The simplicity to the album artwork when it was drawn. And if you ever watched a documentary about Dark Side of the Moon, this is such an iconic symbol. This is such an iconic. I don't know. There's certain things that you look at it and it just screams iconic. This is it. This album, in 100 years, people will still be talking about it. In 1,000 years, people will still be talking about it.
I do not doubt that. Did I send you one of these T-shirts?
Which one?
The Dark Side of the Merlot?
No.
Oh, it's the album cover, but instead of the pyramid, it's a wine glass.
It looks
exactly the same way.
I would totally wear that.
Dark Side of the Merlot. Come on.
I get it. Now going to your next album.
By the way, you need to preface this. These are not in order.
No, not
these
by
are
any means.
These are literally like top 13 mishmashed in. I can't tell you I have a number one all time. I mean, the way that you were definitively said Dark Side, I can't tell you I have that in my top 13 at all. So,
well, hey, listen, this is why it's interesting. Your next album is The Stills. Logic Will Break Your Heart, which is interesting because
this was my album of the year when it came out.
Okay. And
I listened to this album nonstop for probably 3 years. I absolutely love this album. I think it encapsulates, this was the early 2000s. It captures that time, but it also, it harkens back to some really cool 80s stuff. It has a little 90s feel to it. I don't know. For me, I just listened to that album so much and I never got tired of it. And for me, that means it's a great album. Front to back, like every song.
This is going to be embarrassing, but so I never heard of the band prior to you sending me the list. So I actually went and listened to them. I listened to this album in general because you sent this album over. I'm like, well, if this is one of Trey's favorite albums, I should give it a listen to. And I listened to it one time, but I really did enjoy it. It was something that I'll definitely want to go back and listen to. So, but I had never heard of them prior to you sending me over the information.
There we go. All right, cool. I'm glad I could turn somebody onto it. So I only got to see them one time, but I did get my album signed. I took my album in to get that signed at the show. That was kind of cool.
That is really neat. Where did you see him at?
It's sitting on our wall.
No, I said
we do have that framed. I do have that framed.
Where did you see the Stills?
I saw them in Portland at the Doug Fir, which is just a tiny venue. I mean, if there were 100 people in the room when I saw them, I'm lying. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" But anyway,
my next album is to me that is like the perfect Ramones album. The Ramones made a lot of great music back in the day. They created a movement in New York City. Their music is something that, unfortunately, as commercial as it is definitely a staple in today's commercial side of things. I mean, once again, the Ramones and Pink Floyd are definitely everywhere at Hot Topic, as Shannon had said a little while ago. But their music is super quick, super fast, and super fun. Rocket to Russia had so many great songs on it. It was such a great album. It was one of the last album that they really kind of had that raw take on things. And when Phil Vassar got in, got his hands in things and. But no, this was, to me, Rocket to Russia is the greatest Ramones album. And I'm a huge Ramones fan. And this album, I remember getting it. I remember falling in love with it. I wore the hell out of it. I remember having it on tape and wearing the ribbon out like crazy. This is one of my favorite fun albums to listen to. I love it.
That's just pure 45 seconds of punk rock music. It's awesome. A guy who can't sing, a guitar player, who can,
one guitar player, one bassist, and a drummer.
One guitar, yeah. They all know like 4 chords, but somehow they made a lot of great music.
It was special, and it's crazy because they all died so young. And I mean, and if you think about what they created, I mean, Johnny Ramone really created that simplicity of guitar playing that, like Black Flag changed up their playing at the time. And the Clash have said that the Clash wouldn't be the Clash if it wasn't for the Ramones. I mean, good stuff definitely for sure. Now, before you said the Beatles weren't on your top 13, you were wrong. They are in the top 13 with Abbey Road.
Yes, they are. Yeah. I mean, how do you pick a favorite Beatles album?
Good question. Good question.
You know what I mean? I mean, maybe my choice here is the cover is just so fucking genius that maybe that's what pushed it over the White Album, or Let It Be. You know what I mean?
Fun fact.
Or maybe it's the music. I mean, come on.
That
That's a good segue, by the way. Good segue here is we haven't even really talked about it. Did you or have you been watching the Beatles documentary at all?
No, I literally got back last night at 1 o'clock in the morning from Houston. Okay. I was in Houston for over a week for my son playing with his pro team. And I didn't want to watch it on my iPad. I really wanted to watch it through.
You need to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't got a chance to watch it. I mean, it's
like we've only got Holly and I watched the first episode, which is 2.5 hours long, and I think there's like 8 of those, or maybe there's 4 of those, but there's a lot of footage, right? And I think it's incredible. It's a genius in that Peter Jackson was able to take all of this footage and interviews and piece it together without, there's no overdubbing. There's no like narrator. There's just a couple of things that, on the screen will just tell you what's happening or the date. And it's literally watching and listening to the entire process of them putting these songs together, and also their emotional connection, their relationships, the failures that they're having in the relationship. You literally are watching a sinking ship, but at the same time, you're watching genius happen because they wrote that album in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And they had, they all had a little bit of something to bring to the table, but they created that album in 2 weeks. It's just remarkable.
It's pretty impressive when you look at the Beatles and watch the growth from their first album all the way to the last, and how they changed, and how their change never defined them. Like, it was always like they had the music first. They weren't doing things in a way that they didn't do things. They did it because they wanted to. They didn't let anyone else make decisions for them, which was interesting.
Right.
Question is, Brad wants to know, Trey, did your opinion of any of the Beatles change after watching Get Back?
Very much.
Really?
Very much. First of all, just the first episode alone, Yoko gets blamed for breaking the Beatles up. It is clear that she has nothing to do with the Beatles breaking up. Like, just watching the 4 of them in a room together, and it's John and Paul. And then there's George, who's like, hey, I'm here. I brought all this stuff to the table. Right. And then John and Paul are like, essentially ignoring him almost. And then there's Ringo, who says 12 words in the first 2.5 hours, but he's there. He is the consummate pro drummer. Anytime John and Paul are futzing around on guitar, literally just like noodling around, Ringo's back there, like listening to what they're playing. He's like adding a little backbeat, right? So it seems like from the promos that I've seen, there's a lot that I haven't watched yet already. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of footage that is upcoming that I haven't seen yet that show them a little more animated and maybe a little friendlier. But there was an uncomfortableness about watching that first episode and how they related to each other and what they thought about the business of the Beatles, because that's what it had become. And that's why I think you could tell how tired they were. You know what I mean? So, by the way, I'm going to put this in perspective for you. Okay. Imagine Pearl Jam 10, which came out in 92. Imagine by 1999, the Pearl Jam was done, and they had created what the Beatles created in that same period of time. 1962 to 1969.
Let me ask you
That's
this:
it.
if there was one album that you could go behind the scenes and see them and see Pearl Jam create, which album would you want to see the in depth as much as they're doing with the Beatles?
The Verses.
Me would
For
be
sure.
Vitology.
Vitology would be good, but I would like to see the relationship of Ed and Dave during Verses, when it was, I feel like, maybe a little better foundation. You know what I mean? I don't think his relationship with him hadn't completely fallen apart. And I feel like they were had this, not their creative apex by any means. But I feel like coming off of 10, and they knew what they had to create for the second album, it would be interesting to get in the mind of them during that time frame and watch them, you know. I mean, we've seen some of that footage, obviously, right?
Sure, sure. No, well,
I'll tell you this, knowing how much Beatles material is out there, and I know we've seen a lot of stuff with Pearl Jam 20, there's got to be stuff we haven't seen, though.
100%.
Got to be, right?
100%. As many times as the band members have had cameras in their hands their entire career, and then they end up hiring these crews that follow them now, there's definitely weeks worth of footage that we have never seen.
Yeah.
Now, everyone knows I'm a big David Bowie fan, so I would think that you wouldn't be surprised that Bowie would end up on the list. But you were surprised on the album I picked. Now, let me explain myself. Black Star was Bowie's last album. Well, in his last album, and they just put one out a couple weeks ago because they're going in the vault of things, but this was a hard album for people to swallow because it wasn't traditional Bowie by any means. But to me, it was perfect because if you watch a documentary around his death and his last days, and especially around Black Star, and the musicians he had, and the flow of the album, and the way he really drove home this album. This is kind of like his Dark Side of the Moon in essence of it is a true album. It's not, there's no songs. I don't think there's any singles off here. It's an album in its entirety. It was Bowie at his finest. It was his farewell message to us. And to me, it was really this genuine love letter and note that he had given us that was amazing. The music video he put out for Lazarus was beautiful and stunning, and it was sad in its own sense, but this to me was I go back to this album all the time, and I find different feelings that the album gives me, and to that it's special in its own sense. So this is my favorite David Bowie album. So
I'll tell you that when John Richards played this on KEXP, the greatest radio station in the nation, in the world, 90.3. You can listen to it online, kexp.org. Be a donor today. Become an amplifier. John Richards, they had an entire day it was released on a Friday. They had an entire day dedicated to David Bowie with the release of Black Star. By no means did anybody know that he was on his deathbed, right? I mean, this was this wonderful, awesome experience listening to this album. And it wasn't just the album. It was old Bowie. It was influences to Bowie. It was bands that Bowie influenced. So it was a really cool storyline of how they put these songs and artists together for the entire day of music. Monday morning comes and you find out that Bowie's died. And now John, on the fly, has to create another day of Bowie, and now talking about maybe playing some of the Black Star songs, but now with a completely different meaning to what he was thought they were on Friday, and it was really heavy. It was a really heavy day to listen to that again on the day that he died, and it was David wouldn't go out any other way, right? I mean, he waited until that album was released before he finally just let himself go. Right. I mean,
have you seen
perfect walk off.
Have you seen the HBO documentary on David Bowie's last days?
I have it.
If there's a documentary to watch, it's that, because they interview the band that he got to do Black Star. They talk about, like, they interview all these people around him, and they were talking about, like, at one point they thought he was being an asshole because he was showing up late, and come to find out later on it was because he was doing treatments and he was just gathering the energy to even get there. It's a, what was it?
Can you imagine?
No,
I mean him having to muster up the energy to be able to complete those sessions. From everything that I know about chemo.
Oh, we lost Trey. Well, until Trey gets back, I will talk about Black Star. You know, the album, and this is another reason why I picked this album in its context. Up, he's back, I think.
Lost you there. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Let me get you back on here on the thing. No, hey, listen, hey, this is the first time that it's you and not me, so I will. I'll take that. But yeah, no.
What I was saying was just, knowing what chemo does to your body.
Yeah.
From hearing it from other people, it's incredible that he was able to do that. So
100%. So no, that was why. And I know it was, and you had even said that, like, you were surprised, but definitely one of my favorite albums. So now let's go to your next album, which is The War on Drugs, Lost in the Dream.
Lost in the Dream. Lost in a Dream. War on Drugs, one of my all-time favorite bands, period, over the last 10 years for sure. But this album was the first one that I really got into. And their last three albums, this one, and then they just have a brand new one that came out, which is already my album of the year. If you haven't listened to the new War on Drugs, you got to do yourself a favor and give that entire album a listen. We're going to see them in February in Seattle.
Okay.
It's going to be great. But A Deeper Understanding was the second album, and it was an incredible follow-up. And then I Don't Live Here Anymore is the new album, and it's another masterpiece. So there's not a bad track on it. Give it a listen. If you really want to see a great in-studio performance, War on Drugs at KEXP on YouTube is. He made Cheryl Waters, the afternoon DJ, almost burst into tears because the music was so moving. And I knew when she said it, I knew exactly what she was talking about. You know what I mean? We've all been there,
sure,
being Pearl Jam fans, literally being moved to tears. And Cheryl Waters watching Adam and the rest of the band in the KEXP studio, she's like, I don't even know what to say. I just almost wanted to burst into tears when you started playing that. So another band that can do that for you, and a really great loose live feel. It's a great guitar band. He's an incredible instrumentalist, an incredible musician, great lyricist, a unique voice. A little Dylan-y, a little Tom Petty, a little Jackson Brown in songwriting, so it's like, it's nothing too complicated. It's just really great rock and roll.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's some more War on Drug fans that are listening right now.
Yeah, this is I'm not a big fan. I've only listened to a few of their songs. I knew them from Guitar Hero with the song we just played, Under the Pressure, which from there I grew into a little more, but I definitely dig deeper into them now based off your recommendation of the album. Now, for me, the next band This was tough picking an album from this band because this was the same issue I had with Pearl Jam. This is probably my favorite band right outside of Pearl Jam, and that's My Morning Jacket.
Yes.
The band, My Morning Jacket, to me is if they would have came out in '91, they'd probably be just as big as Pearl Jam is nowadays. But with the digital age and the way that things work nowadays, I think that's what's holding them back. Jim James is probably one of the greatest vocalists out there besides Eddie Vedder. He's hits ranges and notes that we only wish to hit. But My Morning Jacket is probably one of the best live shows that you can see right now besides Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
With the idea of them
I
changing
agree
the
with
set
you.
list every night,
Yeah.
the way that Jim James plays, the way that it's just a phenomenal show, and they are about their fans, and they are amazing. And
I remember when they opened up for Pearl Jam.
2006, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great tour, and that was that was a great opening band. My good friend Matt Gobel, who I met at the 2005 Gorge show. He is one of the biggest My Morning Jacket fans. He travels around to see them almost as much as he does to see Pearl Jam.
Wow.
And we were in Bend over Halloween. Holly had a burlesque show, and that was my birthday weekend too. And but Saturday night, Matt has this ultimate man cave. The Macintosh amps and preamps, these massive speakers, 85-inch big screen TV, big, huge leather recliners, 2 taps, 2 beers on tap behind you, right? And an endless supply of marijuana. And I got so high that night, and we watched, he's got these great live bootlegs of My Morning Jacket. And he puts this thing in. I'm sitting down. I'm in this deep recliner. I've got my beer. His thing is so loud in there. You can feel the music coming at you. It literally feels like you're at a live show. And I got through about 3 or 4 songs, and I'm like, I don't know if I can't take it, man. It was too much. It was so good, but it was like I had so much stuff going on in my head, and I'm like, I can't take it. It's too much.
I'm going to have to reach out to Matt because I need to get him on Hitchhiker because I think it'd be really cool to hear his stories from like touring and following bands on the road. I think that'd be really interesting.
Oh, he would be great for that. A great addition to that. Yeah. I'll introduce you via text.
There we go. That'd be great. Now, your next artist. This might be the one...
somebody that I just got to see for the first time ever.
Go ahead.
Beck.
Yeah, Beck, see change.
So, I've always said that, of all of Beck's albums, my 2 favorite albums are his slow ones. And this is a breakup album for him. And it took a while for him to come up with the Morning Phase was his last slow Beck album, and it just came out fairly recently, past few years. But this album, again, top to bottom, is absolutely gorgeous. Really beautiful, melancholy, Sunday morning music. Going to bed, you need some background music or whatever. But he played 2 or 3 songs off this album at Ohana, or Ohana Encore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a thrill to see. What an entertainer he is, especially when it came to his more upbeat songs and stuff. He's just an incredible entertainer, top to bottom. But yeah, love this album. Again, same thing with the Stills. I played Beck See Change, for 2 or 3 years straight, all the time, and I still play that album a lot.
Wow, I will admit that I am not a large Beck fan by any means. I've tried getting into
this. This will change your mind. You got to dive into this.
I have never heard this album.
Mellow. Yeah.
I will definitely give it a listen. My next album is another band I've seen quite a few times. I've traveled to see them, and that is Band of Horses, Everything All the Time. This is their greatest album. I know there's a few people tuned in right now that are Band of Horses fans. Band of Horses, Man, there's different variations of Band of Horses depending on what musicians are in the band. But I go to the barn because I like there's just, God, there's hit after hit on this album, and I've listened to this album religiously, at least 30 times a year, and it is such an amazing album. And Ben's voice is so unique and different, and the way he partakes on his album. Band of Horses they're so good live. I just saw them a couple weeks ago, and they were just as good as they were a couple years ago. I still miss Tyler Ramsey in the band. Tyler Ramsey's just a hell of a guitarist, and his vocal backtracking really did complete Band of Horses, when they were together. But they were good, and they still were able to do things. And it was amazing, and I do love Band of Horses. But Everything All the Time is a great album.
I fell in love with that album as well. I love that album. Two funny stories about that. We have on my Winery website maybe 50 albums listed for sale. That's my number one selling to the point where I can't, like, Sub Pop ran out of that for a while and had to repress some of it.
Wow.
So I probably mail out more copies of that album than anything. I think it's hard to find in record stores. And when people are searching for it, somehow my website's popping up.
Really?
For that, which I thought was kind of funny. So, and then also I almost put the Tyler Ramsey in my
I was in the same boat as you, because that is the most beautiful album. I can't wait for his new album next year. I cannot wait.
Oh, I can't wait for his next album. Yeah.
Yes.
I keep on wanting to say, like, they're like your top 10 albums of 2021. And I'm like, oh, that Tyler Ramsey. No shit. That came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I still listen to it all the time.
And trust me, I will be hitting you up, because we are going to be doing an official post next month for the top 5 albums and top 5 movies of the year. So you will be included in that, seeing as though you are a bridge of the Touring Fan Live. So yeah, we'll have to get that from you. Which, P.S., I just want to listen, I don't recommend movies on the show, but there's 2 movies you must see. Number 1, you got to see Ghostbusters. That's just whatever. But number 2, Last Night in Soho might be the greatest Alfred Hitchcock movie that he never made. It is beautifully done. Soundtrack is phenomenal. The acting is amazing.
What is it?
Last Night in Soho. Look it up. It's amazing.
Is this the one with is this not Jim Jarmusch? Who did this?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. Last Night in Soho, but that's why I use goggles.
It's
Last Night in Soho.
One of our guys is gonna have to chime in here.
Got it.
I think I saw the ad for that.
Edgar Wright.
Well, who stars in it?
Anna Taylor-Joy and Thompson McKenzie.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking a different movie then.
Okay, yeah, you need to see this.
All right, but I have to see it. Okay,
you got to see it. All right, and I don't know what movies Holly likes, but I feel like with the burlesque and things, this could be right up her alley.
Okay, all right, I like it.
Next, which I am surprised, and I'm a little upset at myself for not picking any of the albums from this band, but you picked In Rainbows by Radiohead.
I almost went with Kid A, but I feel like Kid A was a safer choice. And the reality is, I like In Rainbows a little better. It's a little more accessible than Kid A. It has more like songs that I want to listen to. And another top to bottom, not a bad song. And honestly, Weird Fishes might be a top 10 song for me, period.
Wow.
I absolutely love that song, and I do love that album. It's a great album.
Well, this album was defining in the way that this was one of the first albums that got dropped digitally by the band by themselves, not leaked, by them putting it out in what they called as a paperback online, that people can purchase it digitally and then order their hard copies later on. It was groundbreaking in its sense that they took something in their hands and said, hey, we're going to try to do this ourselves and make the money on the back end. You couldn't get it through iTunes, couldn't get it through, there was no Spotify at the time. This was, you had to go there, you had to download it and burn it onto a CD. Or if you had one of the original iPods at the time. But this was groundbreaking in its sense that they did something unique and different. Radiohead was ahead of its curve in back in the day. And I don't know about it as much anymore. They really haven't put an album out in it's got to be 9 years, 11 years. It's been a while.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, what the hell's taking so long?
Oh my goodness.
I just thought about that. Shit, it has been a while. It's got to be longer than Pearl Jam.
Let's see what their discography here.
Oof, that's tough.
Well, they did Kid Amnesia, which came out this year.
That doesn't count.
Okay Computer, that was the reissue. A Moon-Shaped Pool was 16.
Was it 2016? It feels so much longer. It feels like so much further away.
I mean, maybe that was a reissue, but I don't think so.
No, because
Burn the Witch. Oh, Burn the Witch. So
yes,
good.
that was a good song.
That's
Daydreaming
great
Deck.
song.
Okay, that was a good album. 2016, yeah.
Yeah.
But I still think King of Limbs was a better album than Moonshaped Pool, personally.
Oh, interesting. All right.
All right. So now the next.
All right. So Radiohead. I mean, that's a good. Radiohead's a good choice for a top 12,
100%.
top 13.
Radiohead is one of those bands that they don't tour often. When they do tour, you have to see them. Their albums are always different and changing. Yeah, 100% love it. Great stuff on that one.
Yeah. They embrace technology and use it to change their sound. You know, go start to finish, first album to last album, you won't even recognize them. So
you're 100% correct on that. And Tom York does a fabulous job with his vocal range and the ability to use that in a different way that it really does change the dynamic of what that band is.
And then their guitar player, Johnny, what's his last name?
Johnny something.
He just recorded or released a solo album, which I've listened to a few times on Spotify. Pretty good.
Pretty good. I'll have to give it a listen then.
Yeah.
Tom York's solo stuff is just as good too. I don't know if I've ever listened to his solo stuff. Good stuff.
I have one of the solo. He has more than one solo album.
I believe he's got 3.
Okay.
I'm almost certain. Listen, once again, I am not the biggest Radiohead fan. I'm one of those people, like, if they play live, I'll go see them once because, once is good enough for me. But yeah, Tom York, he did Anima in 2019. Yeah, he's put a couple out.
The Eraser. The Eraser is what I have.
The Eraser's the best one. Yes, 2006.
Yeah. But he's got one. Anima in 19. I gotta go back and listen to those.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever listened to that.
I dig how weird they are.
Yeah, he did the soundtrack for that weird movie, Suspiria. Yeah, Suspiria. Not a fan of that.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Now, my next album. Pearl Jam's Vitalogy. Vitalogy has always been my number one Pearl Jam's album of all time. It was the album I really, truly fell in love with the band and really started digging deep into them. It's a unique, different take from the band. Definitely kind of on its weird side of things, but there's so many great hits off this album. It is an easy album to love. I feel like this is when you really start getting the true kind of exploring of the band in unique and weird manners of doing things, and I love it. I love Vitalogy. It's one of my it's a great one. I actually did my grandmother's tribute when she passed away. Her name was Vita. I used the first 4 letters from Vitalogy to do the tribute tattoo on my arm.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That was a pretty aggressive album, right? Last Exit, Spin the Black Circle, Whipping is on that. I mean, that was like Corduroy's on that. Oh, Jesus. Satan's Bed.
Satan's Bed. Bugs. And it's like Shannon's saying, this is another reason why I'd love to see the behind the scenes. This is the album that almost broke them up. So how interesting would it be to fly on that wall while listening to that band is putting together this album?
Yeah. That's a fly on the wall.
Yes, fly on the wall.
Where was Vitalogy? Where was Vitalogy recorded? It was not London Bridge, so
no, it wasn't London Bridge.
Was it Atlanta?
I don't know. Pearl Jam Vitalogy. This is why I use Goggle.
Versus was recorded in New Orleans, right?
I believe so. Pearl Jam's Vitalogy was recorded in. Oh shit. All these pop-up ads now because today's that day where we donate.
Come on, Brad.
I know. Where's Brad when you need
Brad?
him? I know. This is when I need him like in studio. Like he needs to be like, or I need to have like I could have a recording. Here it is. Recorded session took place. Louisiana, New Orleans. Got it. All right. It was in the
Oh,
morning.
that was the same place then. Okay.
Same place.
Here we go.
Now, your next album, Buttercup by Bread. Shame by Bread, which also has the greatest song of all, one of the greatest songs of all time, Buttercup, which is easily in my top 25 greatest songs of all time.
Here we go. Repping the shirt today. Sean Smith, one of my all-time favorite singers, lyricists, so soulful, beautiful. I remember getting introduced to this album. I remember falling in love with the bass player, Jeremy Toback. Just super groovy. Even though it was a Stone side project, within 5 listens, I'm like, this isn't even a Stone album. This is a Sean Smith album, man. I mean, Stone's got some beautiful guitar work in here, but that's just, Sean's voice is what makes Brad. And coming up soon, we'll talk more about Sean.
Sean,
yeah,
he's amazing. It was I never got the opportunity to see him live, but he was one hell of a singer, and he had vocal range very in the grand scheme of music today and the ability of where he could have went. He was an underrated singer, and he could have. I really feel like he could have cascaded into the realm of so many things. So.
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, he does a cover of Purple Rain that'll just
give you chills. 100%. Watch that on YouTube.
Blow your mind.
Watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now, the next band is mine. It's Flaming Lips to me are one of my probably top 10 favorite bands of all time. I love the Flaming Lips. They change every album. Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots is great. This had Do You Realize, which was a song that me and my wife kind of first fell in love with when we first started dating. Fight Test. There's so many great songs on this. And Wayne Cohen is an absolute genius lead singer, and he's another person kind of like Flaming Lips where he uses technology to his advantage, where he brings it on stage and creates these melodies and melodic changes that are different and unique to them. They give you a stage show that is unlike anything else you'll ever see. It's the greatest live show and party you'll ever have in your entire life. And God, I can't say enough great things about the Flaming Lips. They are definitely a unique band in its sense that not everyone's going to like them and not everyone's going to love them. And there's going to be a lot of people that hate them. But man, I love the Flaming Lips.
Yeah, that is for sure my favorite Flaming Lips album as well. Is Yoshimi Battles, and when it came out, I feel like that. I want to say like that, and like Sufjan Stevens, Come On Feel the Illinois, kind of came out around the same time frame. I feel like I was listening to both those albums at the same time. But I only got to see the Flaming Lips once, and that was right here in Walla Walla, and they played with Gentlemen of the Road. And the Foo Fighters also played that festival. It was like a 2-day festival. And, Wayne comes out in the big ball, and rolls out into the crowd and, sort of live crowd surfing while he's singing and stuff. It was a very, very cool show.
Yeah, I've seen him quite a few times. I took my kids to see him live. It's a great experience. It is so much fun. They're a great band. Definitely something I would highly recommend. If there's something that you would put on your bucket list, go see a Flaming Lips show live because there's nothing like it. It is just so much fun.
100%.
The next band, you had Satchel, The Family.
So this continues the Sean Smith theme. And, if you have to define your favorite albums, I mean, you can define it a bunch of different ways, but for me, it's, albums you just never get tired of. Mm-hmm. And all of these albums on my top 13 are albums I can listen to top to bottom. I'm never skipping songs. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to Satchel, The Family. Even their first album, EDC, I had a hard time picking between the two, but again, to me, this just flows better and just has songs on here that it's a fantastic album. If you're not familiar with Satchel, go and dive into this. I think you'll really, really like it.
Yeah, this was a band that was introduced to me a couple of years ago after Sean's passing, and this was one of those rabbit holes. Once you start listening, you're going to want to listen to more. and kind of start digging into YouTube, and hours will go by of some great stuff recorded online, because there is some great live videos on YouTube of Satchel, and it is a really talented group of musicians, and what they're able to be capable of doing live, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and they were being a local Seattle band, and they had, Sean had some moderate success with Brad and with Satchel, but nothing as big as they should have been. And I don't really know who's to blame for that. I don't think it's the music at all. I think the music would resonate with a lot of people. I don't know if Sean just didn't want to tour, um, or if Stone couldn't tour with Brad as much as Sean wanted. Yeah, I don't really know the whole backstory there. Um, but regardless, uh, I've seen Sean live probably 30 times, with either solo with Brad or with Satchel or with Pigeonhead, his other band. We actually had him play a release party. We had my buddy Dave Place's band open, and then Hobosexual, another incredible band from Seattle. And then Sean Smith closed the show. It was for a release party for one of our wines, and one of the more fun winery release parties you're ever gonna find. So,
Yeah, there is. I mean, I was trying to pull it up while you were talking, but there is, man, yeah, Sean, his voice was on another level. I mean, honest to God, it was just so.
there is, he passed away a few years ago, and there's a great Sean Smith memorial, um, with photos and all of his music on YouTube, and it's worth watching. It's like 30 minutes long. They actually played it at his memorial, um, and you really get a sense of his range, and um, not just his vocal range, but his style. It could be rock, it could be soul. Um, yeah, he was quite the talent. He's definitely missed by a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. Here's something for you. Do you remember this? Let me pull it up on the
Oh,
screen.
Mother Love Bone. He did Chloe Dancer.
Mm-hmm. Let me pull it up on the screen. Watch this. Let's see. Mm-hmm. It's amazing what you can find on YouTube. But I mean, it's amazing what his vocal range was ridiculous.
He and Andy were actually very close. He grew up in that him and Regan, who was his drummer for Brad and for Satchel. Regan was also the drummer for Malfunction, which was Andy. And so that's really kind of how that connection happened. And um, there's so many great Sean stories out there. If people wanted to dive into it, he honestly would be a great person. He'd be a great person for someone to write, a book about, because he really did have quite a music career, and he knew everybody. And so there's a lot of stories out there about him. It'd be great for somebody to put something like that together. So.
Oh well, you never know. We'll see what we can do behind the scenes.
You never know. That's right.
My next album was 9 Inch Nails' The Downward Spiral. And this is another band that I could have picked one of many albums, but March of the Pigs is one of my favorite 9 Inch Nails songs of all time. This album, front to back, has no bad songs, and Trent Reznor is a damn genius. What he was able to do in the early 90s, they were one of the first concerts I ever went to. And they are fantastic, and this album is perfect for me. I remember purchasing this at the Wall or Sam Goody on Long Island when this first came out, and this was just on repeat for me, and it still is. Many times when I'm running, this album kind of hits. It is easy for me to get into a good groove with. And sometimes I want to hype my kid up before a soccer game. I'll throw on March of the Pigs. Like, you can't. I don't think there's many songs that will hype you up just as much as that will.
This had Hurt on it, right?
No, that was. Hold on. Oh, now you're testing me. I don't believe it had Hurt on it. I think that was. Maybe it did.
No,
Hold on.
this did have her. This that had her heard on it, I think. It was like the first song or the last song.
No, if it is, it's one of the last songs. Yeah, it did. It was. It was. Hurt was the last song on the album. This had, yeah, Hershey, March of the Pig, Closer, and had I Don't Want
Closer on
This
there.
Again,
Yeah.
Big Man with a Gun, Racer, Reptile.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Self Destruct. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I just
Trent
want to let
Reznor
you.
is another.
I just want to let you know something. Listen. We both have a very close friend, and he likes to make fun of me. And he knows that he just wants to rub me. Where he says, "Wouldn't it have been cool to see Nine Inch Nails with Bowie? Man, that would have been amazing." Yes, it would have. And forever to this day, I fucking hate Brianna. That girl Brianna that told me, "Hey, do not go to this Bowie show. We otherwise will break up." Well, we never lasted. I could have seen Bowie and Nine Inch Nails in Madison Square Garden. Yes, it could have happened. I didn't go because of a girl. I never got a chance to see Bowie. So yes, for that, I say, I do not like Brianna. She is on my list of people I do not
Brad,
like.
that's so mean.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, you have no idea some of the shit he
For
sends
him
me.
to bring that up like that. Oh my goodness.
Now I will say this. Now the next artist you pick is one of the has a great voice. Definitely opinionated, but a great voice. Joseph
Listen,
Arthur, Big City
listen,
Secrets.
listen. Let's be honest. All musicians are opinionated.
100%.
Sadly, not all of us have the. Well, look, no one has the same opinion, right?
Correct.
Joseph Arthur. I discovered this album because he's on Real World Records, which is Peter Gabriel's label in the UK. And at the time, I was buying a lot of weird world music that my friend Scott Smith had introduced me to a couple things. And I found this label, and he was a big Peter Gabriel fan. And so if I saw that rainbow of colors on the spine of the CD jacket, it was very easy to pick out as a Real World album. And I picked this up. He was the first American artist. Even to this day, may be the only American artist that Peter Gabriel has signed. But the story behind it is remarkable. Joe was living in Atlanta, working in a record store, and had made these demo tapes. And somehow these demo tapes ended up in Lou Reed's hands.
Really?
Lou Reed somehow passed it along to Peter Gabriel. And Peter, not his president of his label or his A&R guy, Peter, there's a phone number in this tape. And Peter calls the number, and it's Joe's answering machine. And Joe comes home from work one day and pushes play. Is like, yeah, Joe, it's Peter Gabriel. I heard your tape, and I think it's really great. Give me a call. And of course, he thinks it's one of his friends fucking with him, whatever. But God. He follows up on it, and sure enough, they fly him to New York. They put him with these incredible musicians. And if you listen to this album in particular, it's just all Joe's music, but Peter put around him some incredible musicians from all around the world to record this album. And it's a very raw sounding Joseph Arthur album. Especially when you see how produced they've some of them have become. But again, for me, it's a unique voice. I think he's one of the greatest lyricists out there. If you go and look at Joe's body of work from front to back and just look at the lyrics, he's really a very, very creative guy. And I've always been a huge Joseph Arthur fan. And, I feel like from a politics standpoint, it's, look, everyone deserves a voice.
Sure.
And and you're not going to agree with everybody. And someone asked me about, well, are you just not going to listen to him anymore because of his vaccine stance? And I thought, wow, like I have a hard time listening to Ryan Adams now.
Yep.
But that's trying to have sexual relations with a 14 or 15-year-old girl. Do you put it in the same stance as he's an anti-vaccine guy? there can be arguments made one way or the other.
Sure.
I still have no problem listening to Joe. So I wish he would, you know, I wish he'd change his stance, but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna change his mind. I don't think he's gonna change anybody else's mind on the back end. And to say that he shouldn't be allowed to use his voice is the same. Imagine all the people who said the same thing to Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be allowed to talk, about our president that way or whatever. So, ultimately we all speak with our dollars, and I'm sure Joe's lost a lot of fans that won't buy his music anymore. But I'll still buy his music. I love you, Joe. Sorry, buddy.
My next album is Jimmy Eat World, Bleed American. This brings me right back to middle school. Like, this album is I mean, this was such a great album at the time. This album saved the band, a band that was pretty much on the brink of being, non-existent anymore. So many great hits off this. The Sweetness, I mean, one after one after one. Praise Chorus, which is playing right now. There's so many great songs. This was an album of a time where, I knew so many people, jocks, nerds, were all listening to this album at the same time. And this was just a really cool, kind of like defining album of, what the band is. And they're such like nice guys. I've seen them live a couple times, and they're always, I don't know, they just have this really nice vibe about them. Really dig them. Big Jimmy Eat World fan. Was and is one of my favorite albums of all time.
I think about I know that band, of course, and I know that there's probably 5 songs for sure that I've heard from Jimmy Eat World. I don't know that album at all, and that sort of, because you said middle school. So when did this come out?
This came out.
When did this come out? Like
late 90s.
2000, late 90s. Okay,
I believe. Let me double check on that.
Yeah.
Jimmy Eat World.
Give me name 3 bands in the same genre as Jimmy Eat World, same time frame. We say Green Day?
No, so it's tough because they, with them, right? Like, they were kind of pushed in the category of, like, they were in the forefront of emo at one point. Like, a lot of people like classified them with like Taking Back Sunday or even Brand New or bands of that nature. The album came out in 2001.
I don't know either of those bands. I've heard of those. I've heard of Taking Back Sunday. I couldn't name a song.
Sure.
And so the other band I never heard of.
Yeah. So this was definitely, yeah, I mean, they came out in 95. They had an album out in 96, 99. They started touring this in 2000. And the album came out in 2001.
I feel like, did you get into this band? Like, this is one of the first bands that you were able to get into. Like, this is your band. This isn't my mom. I didn't listen to my mom's radio.
So I would say the band that I really got into because of the scene that was around me was Taking Back Sunday, because they were a Long Island based band. They were getting big through New York, the New Jersey scene at the time, up in Massachusetts, and they were kind of like, they were the band I followed at that time. I saw them a ton of times. I've seen them probably just as many, if not more times than Pearl Jam, just in that short period of time me following them in the early 2000s. And I would also say another band that really I classified as my own band was the White Stripes, maybe even the Strokes, because I remember them coming out. I remember falling in love with them. Now I feel like an idiot for not having either one of them on this list, but both of those really were huge classifications of music.
The Strokes, Is This It? I mean, what a great album. How's that not on your top 13? Come on.
Yeah, I know. I feel very dumb for not having that on the list. I feel like I failed.
Well, so, to be fair, I will go back and listen to some Jimmy Eat World and see if it resonates with me. I feel like it may be something that just the fact that you even mentioned that, this is, middle school. I have, bands I used to listen to for sure that, I mean, like, how do I now have Motley Crue in my top 13? I don't know. I should, but,
I don't know. This album I feel holds up today as it did then. Like, there's albums that I had loved then.
So did Shout at the Devil.
Well, like I said, like Taking Back Sunday was a huge part of my life, but like I don't think their music resonates with me nowadays as it did then. So that's why it's not on my list, but definitely Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah.
So now going to your next, which is a classic for everyone, Pearl Jam 10.
I mean, you know, it's a slam dunk. I could have put 5 other Pearl Jam albums in there, but when it comes down to it, this is the one that got the most plays. This is the one that still I'll play front to back. I have no problem listening to all these songs. I actually love the recorded version of this, front to back. Listening to it in order on CD in your car reminds me of the first time I listened to it in 1991, and yeah, it had to be 10.
10 is still going to be that album that I think defines this band for as long as they're around, because it was so groundbreaking at the time, and the way that these songs still can change people's lives, and the way that it resonates with certain people. It was ahead of its time then. It's ahead of its time now. And it's such a, I mean, if this album came out tomorrow, I think it'd be still as impactful as it did in 1991. And that's hard to say for many albums that came out that time. And 10 is a perfect album for sure.
Agreed. It is, yes.
My
perfect album.
It is a perfect album. I think a lot of these albums we're talking about tonight.
I'm saying, speaking of, as you're about to drop into your next one.
But this is a perfect album. The Boss.
It is.
Born to Run. Bruce Springsteen. I love Springsteen. This is one of the few bands my wife loves to go see with me. Springsteen put out so many great albums. I could have done so many of his albums, but Born to Run by far has the most slam dunk from beginning to end home runs, and Backstreets is, to me, one of the greatest Bruce Springsteen songs of all time. And this was just one of those
Thunder
albums.
Road on the front and Jungle Land on the back. I mean, that's a hell of an opening track and a closing track.
It's interesting, his story and how he really came to be and how he created these musicians. I'm actually reading a book right now, as a matter of fact. It's in my stack of books right now, but I'm reading the new Stevie Van Zandt book, and he talks about his time with Springsteen and when he had to leave the E Street Band to pursue his own career, which, he did in the late 80s, the mid 80s, and where he did I Am a Patriot, which Pearl Jam covers a lot, and all these other songs. But it's funny how he talks about like his fear of leaving the band because he knew how talented Springsteen was. So that is new book, just came out. I would highly recommend it.
I just sent you a text.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see this one. Let's see.
You have to
Looking
pop
at
this
this text now. That's pretty damn clever. Whoever did that's a great Photoshop right there. That's really
Born to Roan. Come on, Born to Roan.
That's great.
Pretty good.
You did, that was good.
I'm like, are you able to share that? You can't share that?
Give me a second. I can definitely get it shared. Give me.
That's fine. We'll go to the next album while you're doing that.
The next album,
all right,
is Neil Young's greatest hits.
It's almost unfair to throw a greatest hits album in there because
I felt like it was kind of cheating.
I mean, it's the greatest hits album, but this album, when you have to take an artist that has as many amazing songs as Neil Young and distill it down to 14, 15 songs, whatever it is, they left, it's like our top 13. They left like 20 songs off of it. But man, oh man, this, first of all, you can air guitar for this is like a 2.5 hour greatest hits album. That's a lot of air guitar. Down by the River, Rockin' the Free World. It's a lot. So Southern Man's on this. Anyway, I love Neil. And rather than pick just a studio album, this is also almost impossible to find on vinyl. If you go to, they only press this thing one time. And it's going for like $150 on Discogs used. If you find a good version of this. So if anybody has a copy of this on vinyl and wants to sell me, please reach out.
Also, for everyone that was curious, this is the image that Trey sent over, which is absolutely hilarious.
Come on, that's so good.
Mm.
Pretty good.
Now, no top 13 albums of all time would be complete without Kiss, of course. Listen, I know a lot of people don't like Kiss, and that's fine. I love Kiss. And Destroyer is Kiss's greatest album of all time. Shout it out loud, probably the greatest Kiss song of all time. And yeah, I love it. I don't know if there's anything more to do with it. This is a great, fun album. When I first had my Mustang, this was the first album I put on when I was driving in the Mustang. There's just something great about the band Kiss and how they're able to, I don't know, just be a fun kind of just rock and roll band. I love this album.
You shout it out loud, Beth.
Mm.
Come on, Detroit Rock City.
Detroit Rock City.
That's
Beth
pretty
was
good.
Beth
I have always enjoyed Kiss as an entertaining band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, can't say
How's
anything more. Love Kiss.
How's that person validity?
Maybe we should get you photoshopped in like a Gene Simmons costume.
You know what? We're working on some. The album with this just got the 4 faces.
Yep.
It's like each one has a quarter of it.
I know you're talking about. Yep.
Rock and roll something. Rock and roll fantasy. Rock and roll.
Oh, what is that one? They had
something.
2 covers like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're working on one of those with Jerry, Keith, I, and Sandy. So we got yeah.
The album was the very best of Kiss, by the way, or it was the single for "I Was Made for Loving You," or then there was just the self-titled Kiss.
See, come on, "I Was Made for Loving You." You said that out loud. That song is horrible.
What?
Terrible.
What? God.
Oh my God. The goddamn Kiss disco song.
No, that was such a great song.
Dude,
I was made for loving you, baby.
It was a disco song, man.
No, that was great.
Listen, you go ahead and dub that over John Travolta dancing. It's throw that in for a Bee Gees song.
Hey, guess what? If it works, it works. I like it. Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
Listen, I'm not. You're right. You're right. You're right. Who's to say who's right or wrong when it comes to musical tastes? We know that for a fact.
Brad says, how many rock albums had just 4 faces on it? I don't know, Brad. Is this a trick question? I feel like he has an answer. Your next album is from the band Nirvana, and it is Nevermind, which has my favorite Nirvana song of all time on it.
You should not show that photo. You might get sued.
Well, then, talk about it.
This song is so good.
Yeah, this is the greatest Nirvana song of all time.
I don't know, man. Blue off of Bleach is pretty good, but
I know there's something about Breed that was amazing.
Listen, another top to bottom album that changed everything. It changed everything. I mean, there's not you can't point to another album in the past 30 years that had the same impact, and that is there's what you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. There was
one song, one album changed the music world forever.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you on that one. Listen, Nirvana was a band that. What?
I'm just looking at this lineup of songs. In Bloom.
Oh yeah.
Come As You Are. Breed. Lithium. Poly.
There really is. This is another album that didn't have a bad song on it. It was just done in a way that was perfect. This was Nirvana's. This is their love letter to music. This was done in a way that it changed everything from that point on. Bleach, that was done before. I thought Bleach was really the defining point for Nirvana, because Bleach, that album was amazing in its own sense, but it just didn't have the catch power that Nevermind did.
I tell you what, if you had to play those 2 albums to like new kids today, I think Bleach would resonate just as much. But when Bleach came out, it was on Sub Pop.
Yeah.
And Sub Pop's reach was, Bleach after Nevermind came out, sold 100 times the amount of copies they ever did before Nevermind came out.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like that was not like a commercially successful album before Nevermind came out. But when uh, Geffen signed, um, uh, when Geffen signed them from Nirvana, thankfully from Sub Pop, thankfully Sub Pop had a little built-in residual, so they were able to pull some money off of, because I think they were still under contract or something, and so every time a copy of Nevermind gets sold, even though that's not on Sub Pop sees a little bit of that, and that album to this day still sustains that label.
Do
You know what I mean? And
you
Bleach as well. I mean,
do you know how much it costs to record Bleach?
I mean, less than $5,000.
$606 it costs to record Bleach.
That's crazy. Was
Insane.
that done with who did that? Was that?
Oh, I don't know who did it. I just
do we know where it was done?
No, I just remember it cost $606 to record that album.
That's insane.
The next album on my list is The Clash, London Calling. The Clash was another band that defined the punk rock scene and really changed everything over in England at the time. This album 100% does not have a damn bad song on it. And this is such a fun album to just dance with your kids, dance by yourself in the car, get down. They were so... it's crazy. I think Eddie said it a couple of years ago when they were talking about The Clash, about how revolutionary they were, in the sense that they were so political, put their foot down, standing in a way that they used words that made sense, and the way that they were able to do it as being punk rock musicians. That's why I think nowadays we call the changes of people utilizing movements as punk rock, is because of The Clash. I mean, the way that they were able to utilize lyrics and music to be different and defining in its own sense, that's why it was punk rock.
Well, and they were speaking of the social justices and injustices,
100%.
way before. I mean, look, let's go back to KEXP, my favorite radio station. John Richards started International Clash Day. And so on International Clash Day, radio stations all around the world dedicate their entire day to playing not just The Clash, but to playing the bands, just like I was talking about with Bowie, the bands that influenced The Clash and the bands that The Clash influenced down the road. And so, yeah, there we go. That's so good. I can get you one of those t-shirts too, buddy.
I'll be looking forward to it.
Come on, The Crush. So
I get it. Brian Meth, when I was doing photography full time, going back, 2012, he did a T-shirt for my brand, and it was that logo, but it was them smashing a camera tripod, and it said Studio 424 Photography. I have it somewhere. I have to find it, but yeah, it was
cool.
a really clever thing. That's a very clever thing. But do you know the story behind that picture? Because that's the best thing about the whole thing.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
The photographer that took this picture had his settings wrong on his camera. And that's why if you look at the structure, or even the exposure of it, how it's overexposed in his back based off the light, the shadows and the contrast and the saturation is completely underdone. It's because it was shot with poor film and the settings were done incorrectly. There was a lot of stuff that was done in a dark room to get this image to come forward. And at first he was going to throw this picture away in the negative way. It was one of the students he was working with in the film room that saw that said, you need to do something with this. So this image almost never happened.
Oh, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's a great story.
It's a great story.
I wonder. I love to know who the photographer was. It's easy to find out. So
yeah,
yeah.
London Calling photographer, because I know there's a documentary on, I think it's Amazon Prime, just about this photo. Penny Smith was the one who did it.
Okay. So when John started the International Clash Day, the very first International Clash Day, he had 20 poster artists design a Clash poster based around whatever song they wanted to do. It didn't have to be the London Calling album. It could have been any Clash album. And the Vera Project, which is a nonprofit in Seattle that teaches uh, the basically the business of music, recording, engineers, the light stuff that you do, Anthony. The filming and lighting and all that stuff. It teaches them to high school kids. The Vera Project has an auction every year, and they auction off a full set of these Clash posters. And we were the wine donor to the Vera Project benefit that year. And so Hall and I went to the gala, and it was a silent auction. And I think I got those posters for like $250. So in my tasting room in Seattle, I've got the entire all 20 Clash posters up on the wall.
Really?
I'll send you a video of it when I show you the space.
I'm trying to pull it up now because originally the photo she was trying to get, and then she took this one after it. I'm trying to find it because it actually was ruined by the sound engineer that got in front of it. His arm got in front of it. God, I wish I could find this. You got to look it up online because it's interesting how the first image where the bassist is coming down, there's an arm in front of it, and then she just kept going, and then it's definitely interesting to look into. But that's a whole nother. We can dig into the album forever, but
we could, yes.
Getting into your number 13 on this list, we're getting to that point. Number 13, we have Soundgarden, Bad Motor Finger.
Another top to bottom, just a great album. And Soundgarden, for me, was obviously the most heavy metal of the Seattle bands. And I grew up on heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
I actually related to Soundgarden more than I did really any of the other bands. Although I fell in love with all the bands and all the albums that came out during that time frame. But the Soundgarden, when I heard that, I knew like, oh, this is right up my alley. And it was more familiar to me than having to dig into Nirvana and Pearl Jam was a little more radio friendly is not the right way to put it, but it wasn't quite as heavy as Bad Motor Finger was. Jesus Christ Pose, Search on My Good Head Clothes, all these great songs, but they were heavy. And I appreciated about that band. And although I like almost the entire Soundgarden catalog, of all the Soundgarden albums, this is my favorite one.
Okay. It took a while for me to get into Soundgarden, a little bit later in life, but this is a great album. Chris Cornell is to me one of the top 5 greatest vocalists of my time. I would put him up there in his vocal range with Jimmy Page, in my opinion. So, no, this is a great album, and I can definitely see what you're coming from on that thing.
I've got one of my favorite photos that I own from Charles Peterson was the Screaming Life photo. The Screaming Life FOP is the EP that Soundgarden put out in like 88 or 89, whatever. It's just Chris Cornell, 19, 20 years old, shirtless. Looks like he's just howling into a microphone. I bought this album in 1989 in Bremerton, Washington, in a record store. I had no idea who they were, but I was in a record store and I had a radio show I had a DJ show on my ship when I was in the Navy. And I was like, this just looks like it's going to sound good. You know what I mean? So I've told Charles Peterson that story too. I'm like, and I bought that album because of the cover. It just looked cool, looked heavy. And so I've got the original print of that, a big one, above my, it's on my main wall, when you come to my house. So.
Well, I Charles Peterson's story behind that photo is amazing too. How he talks about how he just threw his camera up high, wished for the best, and got that photo.
Yep.
It's good. Charles P. He's been on the show before. He's great guest.
He is a great guy. Yes,
he's super good. He's super, and it's interesting how he's another talented person that, like, you know, man, you know, the stories that you can pull from these people. It's just it's really cool. I really dig it.
None
for
of
sure.
them. I don't think any of them ever did any. Chris Cornell didn't. He wasn't in Soundgarden because he was hoping to be one of the biggest bands in the world.
Mm-mm.
You know, Kurt. All these bands, they were just doing what they loved.
Yeah.
Charles was doing what he loved. I don't think Charles ever thought he'd make a living as a rock photographer.
No.
And you know, I would say that it's over the past 10 years as people have sort of rediscovered, and you know, he's really been able to build an even bigger business than he had before, just off of his existing photographs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not off of his current picture taking, but he's got this back catalog that is incredible, and people obviously love these bands so much that
they want to spend the money on
him too.
Backlog. Yeah, it's crazy to think that, you know, like, I don't know, but yeah, when he was on last time, he said it, like, he consistently is pulling from his backlog of his negatives, because that's what people want, which is great.
Yep, it is great. Good for him. That's the way it should be.
The last album of this marathon of a show is Let It Be by the Beatles. So the only band to come up twice on this list.
You know, I wonder what albums have 4 people in it.
Here's one. Here's another one. The Beatles. Kiss and the Beatles. 2 great bands, 2 great ideas, 2 great albums. There we go. There's your answer, Brad. Take it for what it is. 2 is the answer I give you.
The answer is 2.
Yeah, Dig a Pony, Get Back. I mean, this album's just front to back a fabulous send-off for a great band. And, yeah, I can't... It's hard to talk this album up any more than really... It's just a great album. It really is.
I remember watching the live on top... Not live. The
On Top of
Apple Studios. From front to back on YouTube. And I'm like, I can't believe this footage is out here. How is this not in people's hands? You know what I mean? Like, and just so great. But then in hindsight, you're like, it's so sad. Because,
yeah,
like,
it's it's the last time they play together. It's wild. It really is. You know, and there's so much, like, you know, what if they went on without John Lennon? And, you know, I don't know. There's so much what ifs, but
well, first of all, you know, George quit before anyone did. George quit in the middle of this session. Like, he left. Yeah, but then he came back. Obviously,
I'll have to watch the
but
video.
you know, and his anniversary of his passing was either yesterday or 2 days ago. It's been 20 years, 2001 when he passed, and yeah, we're just left with 2.
Do you think if they were all still alive today, within the time frame of when John Lennon passed to now, do you think they would have gotten back together?
After watching the show, no.
So you think
they'd
they'd be
watched one episode of it?
You think they'd be more like Led Zeppelin in the sense that they're just like, no?
Yeah, I think that, you know, maybe they would have gotten back together for like a benefit show or something, but
kind of like Floyd did.
I think they all realize, you know, maybe not Ringo, but I think John, Paul, and George realize they are all so creative, but that they maybe have different ideas about what to do with that creativity. And, you know, Paul went on and did Wings, and John had this great solo career, and George had, you know,
a fantastic career,
an equally great solo career,
mm-hmm.
and the Traveling Wilburys.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I feel like they would have looked at that period of time and said, that was amazing. I'm glad we did that. That was awesome. But now we're all doing this other stuff. So,
yeah. Now, before we get to anything else, I do want to bring up a couple things. The holiday seasons are right around the corner. I and everyone here at this, the Touring Fan Live, want to have you support local artists. This holiday season, more than ever, I think you should be digging deep into the artists that come on the show, the artists that you support, and go buy an album, a poster, anything that these artists are selling to support on this holiday season, because during even the pandemic, concerts are not selling out, shows are limited, posters are are not getting hit as hard. So definitely support your local artists this holiday season and support those people in need, because as much as we love them is as much as they need to continue to support themselves and their families. So this holiday season, support artists. Now, with that being said, if you dug this episode, right, and I think I did, I mean, it was pretty cool, you can be able to listen to all of our top 13 albums, the songs clipped off it on iTunes and Spotify. All you have to do, it just went live now. Search Let's Talk Vinyl top 26 albums, and the albums we talked about tonight with singles off them are on there for you to listen to at your pleasure, so you can be able to dig into some of the albums that you love or some of the albums you've maybe never heard that you can kind of explore into it. So definitely check that out on iTunes and Spotify. Just search Let's Talk Vinyl, and that's spelled VIN. In those little C-looking things, YL top 26 albums. So check that out. And then we're going to be posting this image with some information about the albums we chose tonight, and get to hear your feedback on what you thought of the albums we picked and kind of get some feedback on that. So definitely check that out. Now, next month on December 10th, because we are right around the corner of December 10th, I will be doing a Hitchhiker episode where we're going to be talking to a fan called Brittany. I don't know her really well. Brad introduced us, which I'm really excited about. And we're talking about her experiences touring and following Pearl Jam and some other bands and why she loves music. And then on December 19th, we're going to be getting X Gets the Square one more time, again with Dan Mumford, and we're going to be Bailey Race, who we're going to be coming on. We're going to be talking about the new Spider-Man movie. This episode is all about Spider-Man. I'm giving Dan Mumford and Bailey Race the entire episode to talk about Spider-Man. I don't know much about Spider-Man. I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but that's what we're doing. And then on December 21st, we're going to be doing... No, did we say 21st or 20th, Trey?
We said what's the Tuesday?
21st. On the 21st, we are going to be having our holiday special. Let's Talk Vinyl holiday special, because right now, as many as ideas as I have for the show, I have nothing locked in yet, except I can tell you this. I have been working on something super secretive. The only person who knows about this is Brad. I have been working on something for Trey that is being created overseas, that is getting shipped to me, and that I am shipping to Trey. This should be in his hands by the episode, where he will open it online. And if everything goes well when he opens this, and if he likes it, there might be an opportunity for you, the viewer, to potentially have what is in his hands. And I'll leave it like that. And then...
I mean, the buildup is ridiculous. I don't know what I'm going to sleep for the next 20 days.
Listen, I am really excited. There's so much I can... When you have it, the stories behind it and why I'm doing it...
Spit it out.
I can't. I've worked really hard. Brad says I can't remember. You're so full of baloney. And then on December 24th, the Touring Fan Live and our staff came together, and we wanted to do something special. We wanted to put together something not as big as we did back in April when we did Rocking for a Cure, or even something for Short Stock, but we wanted to be able to do something where we can potentially give back to people that are in need this holiday season. So on December 24th, Christmas Eve, we're going to be posting a video on our social media where we have reached out to bands and artists that are going to be covering a holiday classic or holiday song that they love, and hope to raise money for No Child Sleeps Outside. It is an organization up in Seattle. The organization that runs the No Child Sleeps Outside is a homeless shelter in Seattle. That what they do is they take the money they raise during this benefit, and benefits are doing, and they are bringing in kids off the streets during the holiday season and trying to get them in a better situation. So during Christmas Eve, we'll be having these artists perform holiday classics to raise money for this organization, so they could be able to help those kids during the holiday season when it's the hardest. Talking from someone who slept in their car during Christmas, it is not something that I would wish for anybody. So definitely keep out. We'll be doing some more information about that that in the upcoming weeks. So December is definitely going to be a full month go ahead for the Touring Fan Live, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, buddy. It's gonna be great. I've got Holly and I get to go on a honeymoon this Saturday. We're going to Cabo for 8 days, so
good for you.
We're gonna go down and get some sunshine, and by the time I get back, this super white, pale forehead should hopefully have a little bit of color to it.
Well, Trey, it has been fun. This has been a long one. I think this might be. Is this the longest episode?
2 hours. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know. But I don't know. We've done some long ones, but this is definitely up there. But Trey,
we're still fairly sober, though. I mean,
yeah.
Usually the long ones were a little ruined, but
Yeah, I still can't drink everything, and I have. I'm going to cap this with my mechanical capper I have upstairs to try to get this to last a day or two. So, and then Brad keeps talking about
you should get 2 days out of that for sure.
Okay,
yeah.
Brad keeps talking about this, but this is where it's wrong. Pearl Jam is announcing that they're doing a Pearl Jam 20 digital release that is on iTunes, but it's been out forever. When Pearl Jam 20 came out years ago, they had all of those ready to be purchased. Now, unless there's some new footage with it, I don't know. But yeah, iTunes right now, you can be able to purchase it in a grouping of 3 where you can get the Pearl Jam 20, the behind the scenes, and the Kids Are All Right. All 3 of those come in a bundle.
But
it's been
because I have it on VHS. Is there anything else that's not on there?
You have Pearl Jam 20 on. It was never on VHS. You liar! Oh my God,
Brad, is that on beta? I need to. If I need to watch this at home.
Oh man,
make sure
it's on Max. Yeah, the only way you can watch it is if you go to Channel 5 at 5:00 on Saturday morning, and that's about it. That's
there we go. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, no, it's
unscrambled for 5 seconds.
I'm wondering let me check something. I'm going to go to iTunes Store real quick before we close the show out, and I'm going to see if I could purchase it and if it's different than what I own. So I'm going to check Pearl Jam 20 and see if it allows me to purchase something. Laserdisc. Brad says, do you want it on Laserdisc? Movies. Search Pearl Jam.
Let's be honest. Those Laserdiscs made great Frisbees.
Those things, I cut myself on those things so many times. All right, here it is. It is the Pearl Jam 3 movie collection, which includes Pearl Jam 20, which I own. It includes Pearl Jam 20, The Kids Are 20, which I own. And then it includes Pearl Jam, The Fans Are All Right, which I don't own. Over 80 minutes of extra credits specifically for diehard Pearl Jam fans, including rare live performances. Released 2021. Interesting. So it's, I guess, all right, so I eat my words. There's a new video called Pearl Jam 20, The Fans Are All Right. Huh. Well, I have been...
I've seen that. You've seen that, right? The Fans Are All Right?
The Fans Are... I've never seen that. Have you?
Yeah, yes, I've seen that.
So what the hell's new? I guess it's just because it's digital?
Maybe. I think I have it on DVD. I think I may have it actually from... well, I can't see who I have it from. But I do have a copy of that on DVD. So...
Oh, well, maybe you're not supposed to have it. Maybe it wasn't supposed to come out till today.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, I see Brad Ling. Brad sent me a photo. I guess he got credit in the book for Pearl Jam 20, so on the Laserdisc. So, but you know what that means. It's time. So until next time, I am Anthony. That's Brad. Thank you so... Oh, God, no, Brad's not here. I'm Anthony. That's Trey. Thank you so much for tuning in to Let's Talk Vinyl. And that should do it.